Good morning. Welcome to, I believe this is the last webinar for our winter series, right? So we're going out with a bang today. Fujitsu Resources. You got myself, Rick Koester, Anthony Tassi to my right, your left maybe, screen-wise.
Good morning.
Talking today, of course, Fujitsu Resources, some of the tools that you guys have access to, whether you're in the sales side of the business, you're an installer, you're a service guy. We got a couple things for you today. So not too long, maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes here, but very similar to what we've been doing in the past, right? So we got a couple things in your handout section. There's the Wales Darby line sheet. So if I let me see if I can get my side going here.
Rick, where are we sitting? Are you like in a space?
I'm glad you asked. So for those of you who have not seen what's behind us today, this is our mobile learning center. So this is a vehicle we like to use, right? Get out on the road with you guys, do some training, events, definitely have some fun in there, a lot of product. Might need some upgrading, but at this point we got some good stuff going with that truck. But yeah, I figured we use that as a background today.
Yeah, there's no bumblebees, so it's
yeah, it's somewhat updated, right? We got a Fujitsu back there. I see the Fujitsu. So it made sense today. So thank you guys for joining us. If you don't mind, throw in the chat. Make sure we just want to make sure you can hear us today. We want to know, where are you watching from today? Where are you tuning in from? So you can throw that in the chat for us. We appreciate that. So today is a little interactive too. We want to hear from you guys. Of course, this is for you guys. So if we can make things easier out there in the field. I like this class. I like this training, this webinar that we put together. We've done this, I think about a year ago, we did resources and we mixed in some troubleshooting. Today, we're just going to cover the resources, the tools. There's so many of them now with the new websites, apps, all kinds of information with rebates coming out. And we just want to make sure you guys are in tune that we do have these things available and how to get to them. So again, questions will be greatly appreciated.
thank you, everybody.
Good response. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Got a lot of people joining us today. I think it was one of the biggest. I think we had 176 people registered today, which is awesome.
Save the best for last.
That's it. So on the screen there, you see we got these handouts, right? So make sure you download them, especially the QR sheet. You can see here where it's in your box. I believe it's a Fujitsu One Stop, right? And we kind of named it that because this is really the one page. We're going to review what these QRs are, how to utilize this page a little bit more towards the end before we wrap up. But this is really everything you need in the Fujitsu world, right? If you have a camera phone and you can scan a QR code, you understand how they work. We've been using them from everything from sign-in sheets, collecting data. I think I fell in love with QR codes. It makes it very easy to get a lot of information in a small spot, right? So you got that. Don't forget to download it. Also, our line sheet, right? So you got our contact info on there as well. The last slide, I will have myself and Anthony's contact info. I don't know if you guys are on social media, but we do have our own Instagram accounts. We have the Wales Darby Instagram account. So please interact with us. Send us a message at any point. We like to see what you guys are doing. Show off what you guys are doing as well. Share it, and just helps us all grow. So those are the two items we got for you today. Reference them a couple times throughout this. So download them and definitely please take some notes. This will be recorded. So if you guys have, obviously you've been on some of ours, see a lot of familiar faces today. If you've been on our webinars in the past, we do have a brand new website, the walesdarby.com website. And right here at the top of the page, it's kind of circled this here, little drop-down menu for training and events. At the bottom one there, you're going to see is videos. So everything that we've done, I mean, how many years, right? Just as COVID started, we got into this. So a lot of what we've recorded over those years, 2, 3, 4 years, I lost track at this point, but all of those webinars are categorized in there for you. We've got a YouTube channel now, so you guys have access to these videos whenever you want, right? So it is a good tool. It's been working. I've been getting a lot of phone calls, not just from locals, our territory, but even out of state. A lot of guys that have stumbled in looking for information and strolled across our webinars, and hopefully it helps you guys. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. I think we taking a little break for the spring, I believe. Well, maybe doing a spring and maybe taking a summer break.
We'll be back in fall.
We're back in the fall, but like I said, the videos are still there for you guys to access. So That be that. So today we're going to talk about, like, again, this is going to be a discussion, not a lot of slides here, not a lot of things, visuals, I guess you could say, but we're going to have a discussion, talk a little bit about the resources, the tools that we provide, so you're able to service yourself, your needs, and as well as your customers' needs and expectations. So I kind of threw that up there. That's my own definition. I read it a couple times. One minute it makes sense, the other doesn't, but like I said, resources are what? They're tools for us, or maybe just references. So if we know where they are, they can definitely save a lot of time out in the field, especially that QR sheet, which we've been using that a lot lately. So before we get into these different, I broke everything down if you didn't notice there in the sales side. I was just talking with Anthony here, right? Sales, design, sizing, that's where we all start. That's where every job is going to start. And then, go into the installation and then the servicing, troubleshooting down the road. A lot of what we're going to talk about today is going to overlap into all of these different tools. But for the most part, we're going to cover a lot of it in the sales, design, sizing side of this. So before we get started with all of that, the FujitsuGeneral.com website is probably the best place to start for all of our resources, right? This is where your homeowners are going to start. We're seeing a lot of, a lot more traffic coming through. We have a nice leads generation program. If you guys are not currently on there, you can go to, if you haven't been at FujitsuGeneral.com lately, take a look. One of the things you'll notice is this is that main screen where we have it broken down from residential and commercial. Once we click on that residential, as a homeowner, you're hit with, right off the bat, as soon as you get onto the website, they're asking you, what can we help you with? And it looks something like this, this little transition screen here. So when you see this guy pop up right here with the elite badge, right, this is what the homeowners are seeing. And that question up at the top here in the little letters is, what can we do for you? And that's where it all starts. If they're looking for a new system, they're looking for service, whatever, they're looking for information, they drop down that little menu, they can select what they're looking for. And then to the right, this is a completed, maybe it's a service or an installation request. But you guys will get something like this as a text message, and you'll have the ability to accept it, decline it, and you pick who that person's going to be. This is a great system. If you're not familiar with Schedule Engine, there's some other parts of it. There's some paid services that you get discounted rates for if you are an elite contractor with Fujitsu. So you can utilize some of your loyalty rewards, basically marketing dollars that you build up in a bank. Until you hit that elite status, you'll be able to use some of those funds to pay for these subscriptions, where you can really build that service, not just get the leads from Fujitsu's website, but if you have your own personal website, you can also build Schedule Engine into that. So Fujitsu does offer that to you. We can get you some more details. If you are not currently getting leads, or you had leads and you feel like they kind of fell off with the website transition, at the bottom of the screen there, you'll see there's a little link, provider.scheduleengine.net. You visit that website, that's your dashboard, that's your lead dashboard. So from there, you'll be able to enter your email address of the person who's going to be getting these leads. They will send you a link, and now you can, look at your own dashboard and monitor everything and select your location. I believe default is anything within a 20-mile radius. You have the ability to go on and add zip codes or remove zip codes for the areas that you do not want them from. So you also get to set your window of operation. When do you want these leads to come in? When are you working, right? This is pretty wild things here. If a customer, fills out this form and requests information or looking for somebody to come give a quote, we've had a lot of questions on this. If it comes in overnight, and you miss it, or what is the case there? And what's really neat is that I was looking at some of the details yesterday. You're basically on a 4-hour window from a lead coming in to you. You have 4 hours to accept it or decline it. After those 4 hours, they're going to go to another contractor, and they're going to keep going down the list for a 24-hour period until somebody picks up that lead. If not, then it goes probably to us, and we got to go find somebody. But what's nice is between 8:30 p.m. and 8 a.m., overnight, if a lead were to come in, let's say at 8 o'clock at night, and that 4-hour clock starts, you don't even notice it. You lost the lead. So what they did was they shut off the clock. That 24-hour window is not from 8:30 p.m. to 8 a.m. So if you get a lead at 8 o'clock, you're going to get a half an hour window, and then that 3.5 hours is going to continue at 8 a.m. So you'll have full visibility of that lead, which is really nice. So it's a good program. If you're not a part of it and you're not getting leads, take a look. Any questions come in on Schedule Engine before we keep moving?
No, we're good.
Good, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So everything starts right from a lead, whether it's coming from Fujitsu General, it's word of mouth, you know, maybe another customer of yours that kind of passed your information on. It all gets to you at some point. And the starting point for us, and we've been pushing this not just with Fujitsu, is we represent many manufacturers where, you know, we're trying to fit a piece of equipment to that application, and everything has to start with a manual J. I mean, I think most of our trainings at this point, if you know, Anthony can kind of vouch here. I mean, everything we do now is around a manual J. You know, we can't start discussing equipment and what make and model, and whether it's, you know, Fujitsu, it's a boiler. If you're all plumbers out there, you know, anything you're doing that's a, I guess you could call it a source, needs to start with a manual J. You know, we do so much, you know, yes, Fujitsu is pretty forgiving with an inverter technology where we can ramp down in some cases, but, you know, we need to understand the operation. Can we actually operate at lower temperatures? Are we losing BTUs? You know, these are all things we're going to know. The math doesn't lie. You know, if we sit there and do the manual J, and this could be by others, if you're using RightSoft, and if you don't mind in the chat, you know, what program are you using today? You know, I like CoolCalc. Right? I happen to be a fan of that. I like that it's a full manual J. You have a lot of options, really easy to navigate. We know RightSoft makes a program, which is a really good one. They make a mobile and a desktop version. You know, there is a cost to them. So whatever that program is, we got to start using it. You know, do we offer a load calc? We kind of do. We have something, if you've been to our Connect website, so we've had some transitions. So we're going to talk about this. I'll probably repeat myself 1,000 times, but that's only because it's new for some people. But this is you're looking at the connect.fujitsugeneral.com website. From this website, we're going to reference this a bunch of times. I'll have the website up on the screen a couple times, but you also have it on the QR sheet. You'll be able to scan and bring you right there. From this website right here, we click on that little red box down below. If you have credentials to get in and you have a contractor account, you're just going to log in there. If you don't, underneath that red box, a little difficult to see, but right below it there, so you can get a little magnification, there we go, contractor sign up. So you're going to click on that right there, sign yourself up. Might take a couple days to get activated, get approved on there. But once you're in there, you're going to see something that looks very similar to this. Maybe not so many of these circle apps, we call them, but this is your welcome page. It should have your name on it or your company name, depending on your access. But right here on the left-hand side on mine, you'll see there's a load calculator. And this is going to bring us, if you're familiar with the old load calculator from the old portal, exact same thing. We were able to kind of, I think that's the only thing they saved from the portal, you know, and brought over to, you know, what we're doing now. But this is it's a load program. Is it a manual J? No. If you do a manual J and you follow this and you enter a lot of information, as you can see, there's some basic info here from your location at the top of the screen here. If you notice, it is a room based, right? So it's not a whole house. We're going to go individually, room by room, length, width, height, you know, construction type, whether it's residential or commercial. We can enter some walls below it. Conditioned spaces, right? So see if I can get on some of these questions here. There we go. Conditioned space, how many people are in a room, other equipment. Down below here, there's something called other equipment load, which is, this is nice if you guys do server rooms, right? We add up all, you know, the KWs, whatever we're doing, the equipment that's in the space, convert them to BTUs, and we have that bulk number, we can throw that in that little field there. Even down to lighting wattage, infiltration, and then lastly, our room temp set point. Once all that information's there, you hit calculate, you're gonna get your heating and cooling loads. You're also gonna get underneath it some product selection. It's only going to give you product selection based on single zone, not multi, because this is a room by room calculation, right? I think the compliment, and we say this all the time, it's the compliment I get, and myself, Anthony, and the rest of us in Contractor Services, is more of a complaint from you guys, is that every time you do this load calculator, it comes up with a 9,000 model, you know? And I know we've played with stuff in training where we've throwing some funky dimensions in there, just trying to manipulate the program to make it pick a 12 or an 18 or something different. And You know, it's these 9s and 7s and everything we offer, you know, they're very powerful. So you got to do the math. You know, you can't just pick a number just because we want to. It seems like a big room, we're going with an 18. You're going to be well oversized in many of those applications. So this is a good start. If you're not doing permit work or rebate work or anything that's requiring you to give them a manual J, then if you're not doing anything, this is a better space, a spot to be. You know, this can work with everything, and not just Fujitsu. You know, if you're looking to figure out how many BTUs you need and try to put some baseboard in a space, utilize it. You know, it's a good tool for you.
If I may.
Yep.
I just honestly don't believe we trust numbers.
Yeah.
We rather guess, grossly oversize, and deal with the consequences later.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these are heat pumps. So you have two different loads, and they're not the same number.
Yep.
So
yeah.
And you're grossly oversized for one, that means you're doubly grossly oversized for the other.
Yeah, even when you use these programs too, you're a little oversized because they do have a little bit of a fudge built into them, you know. So usually if you do the math and you follow the numbers and even right to the number, there's still a little bit of a percentage there. And I don't know what each program uses, you know, if there is a standard or whatever, but you know,
The number I heard was like 30%.
30%, okay, yeah, 30, I heard 15, so 15 to 30%. So you follow the numbers that you see on the screen, it's going to be very, you know, I think even a little oversized, if anything, at that point. So it definitely works. And I played around with doing a manual J through a Cool Calc, you know, through a RightSoft, and then going back. And we use Avenir, which is a program that LoopCAD uses for radiant heat. So we have a couple different accesses, I guess you can say, to these. We have access. I don't know if that made sense, but we have access to a lot of these programs. And when you do them, they all would come within a couple hundred BTUs, and even this Fujitsu one that we do offer on the page, it's close. You know, it's going to get you there. And if you're not doing it, then you're going to be a hell of a lot closer than what you were before. So
I wish they give it a facelift.
I know, me too.
I love when they have VCRs, you know, as an additional heat load.
Office equipment, appliances, you get some funky stuff there. So
VCRs?
VCRs, maybe, you never know. I guess it's equivalent to a cable box today, BTU wise, so we'll go with that. We'll go with that. So you got to do manual J, right? So we'll keep it there. You know, from the manual J, as a salesperson, right? If you've done this before, and I'm watching a couple guys that I'm working with now, and you know, they're able to do this almost on site, you know, in their car, you know, going in, getting some dimensions. You know, it's not difficult to, you know, get one of these put together. If you have some basic info. Yep.
I stopped hearing you. Now you're back.
All right, perfect. Yeah, if there's any audio issues, please, you know, throw it in the chat. Anthony's monitoring that. This way we don't go too far, and I'm not talking to myself. So based off of that load calculation, right, now we can start looking at the equipment, right? Once you do that load calculation, don't go right to the catalog. And I think that's where a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot is they go to the catalog, they start to see, all right, I need X amount of BTUs for this space. This one model can do up to that. Great, that's my piece of equipment. And, you know, now maybe down the road, we have some comfort complaints, you know, that come down the road. And, you know, it's because we looked at a number and we weren't aware of what that number was, you know, or what that outdoor temperature was when we were getting those BTUs out of the machine. And, you know, unfortunately, everything that is published in that catalog, if you take a look, if you guys have access to a paper catalog, if not, there's a QR code we're going to talk about that gives you access there to the full line catalog. You look at the back cover there and some of the notes, and it'll explain to you where those BTU numbers come from. You know, I know those are some AHRI testing numbers that they're advertising, and they might not be real for your region. You know, talking locally where we are in New York, New Jersey, right, where we cover, you know, we're looking at a 10 to 18 degrees, let's say, design temp, right? That's very. How many days do you think we had, you know, in the single digits this year? I mean, it wasn't many. You know, maybe a couple hours or overnight hours at most that we had teens and low numbers. So, you know, when we're designing the system, if this is primary source of heat, obviously we need to make sure we perform all the way down to the coldest we can get. So here we have the opportunity, and what I have is the Connect website up again from the main page. right? I don't have to log in for this, which is really nice. And we're going to touch on this even when we get to the installer side. But right at the top of the screen here, we have, let's see if I can get this. Right at the top here on the Connect page, you have this search bar. So without logging into this page, you guys have access to all of this information. You just punch in a model number, and as soon as you start typing, all these different models are going to start to generate. But the AO I punched in here the multi-zone 18, the AOU 18 RLXFZ, and you can see I get a lot of information. There's a lot of different manuals that pop up down here, these little blue links. So what we want to get familiar with is something called the Design and Technical Manual, right? If you're selling equipment, if you're recommending equipment, you're talking about equipment, or purchasing equipment, this is one manual you should be very, very familiar with, even down to installation. You take a look at one of these. Now, yes, we have multiple models out there, and there are a lot of design and technicals, but you can see if you're a multi-zone guy, this one model, or this just from this link here, this manual covers three of our multi-zone systems: the 18, the dual zone, the 24, 3-zone, and our 36 standard. So we got 3 different systems here in the multi-zone layout. So we have a lot of information in this book. And this one, off the top of your head, do you remember how many pages this thing was? It's probably 100 and something pages, design and technical for this multi-zone, maybe even more than that, maybe even close to 200,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We cover a lot of information there. What I'm concerned with and what you need to get to is really the section that's called capacity tables. And they're going to be able to provide you charts that look like this, right? So if I was going to go do a 2-bedroom setup, let's say a master and a secondary bedroom like that, if you notice the plans that I had up there on the screen with the manual J, we go hit 2 rooms, I do the load calc, right? It tells me X amount of BTUs. Now I can come to these charts, and this is heating charts, right? So I can come in here and look, okay, on my design day, let's call it 14 degrees, 70-degree indoor. If I had a 9 and a 12 hooked up to this 18, I'm going to get about 15,700 BTUs, right? So now I can go back and look at my total load and say, all right, can I cover both of them? Okay, yes or no. Now at the bottom chart here, that's an individual indoor unit. So this is telling me potentially at 14 degrees, the same 70, I could get a maximum of 10,270 BTUs. So this is the math, like Anthony was just saying, right? We do trust the numbers. If my load says I need 8,000 BTUs, and I see here that I can get 10,000 if it's running by itself, right? Then I know I'm good, on a 14-degree day. And then if I even go a little bit further here on that same 70, right, that 10.27 is really, that's a 5-degree day, not even a 14. I messed up there. It's 11.7 on a 14. We're 10,000 BTUs out of a 9, right? And this is where I think we see it a lot, is we're seeing, maybe you would have picked a 12 or an 18 to do this application,
Sure.
So we could do it with a 9 and possibly even a 7 if we pulled up the 7 chart, depending on that room calc, right? Doing the manual J or the load calculator itself. So these are charts that I think we utilize every day. If you're picking equipment, again, it's hard to pick a piece of equipment if you don't know what it's going to do performance-wise. So
Just think about that number there. So from a 5-degree
Yep.
outdoor temperature to 70 indoor,
Yep.
it's 65 spread.
yeah, right.
Now you do the cooling side, 95 to let's say 75.
Right.
There's
right.
only, so you see how the load really is in ratio
Yeah.
to difference of temperatures.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. And then you can get a little bit more deeper to this too. We have things called capacity, help me out there, the reduction charts. Basically, it's a capacity loss, right? So now if I'm extending my line sets to the maximum that we can run, or maybe I'm lifting my outdoor is above my indoor unit X amount of feet, right? There's going to be some kind of capacity drop there. So how do I figure that out, right? So I know here on this chart, it tells me I'm using a 9 and a 12, and on these given temperature days and room temps, I'm going to get X amount of BTUs. That might be at, I don't know, a level playing field, right? Indoor unit's the same height as the outdoor unit and maybe 10 feet of line set. I don't know, right? Well, it depends on the system. But I have charts in this design and technical that are going to tell us, all right, based on what you did, right? This is your multiplier. Now I can take this total load, multiply it by that number, and that's my actual performance I'm going to get. Right? And that's something that I don't see really anybody looking at. And again, when you get to these extremes, we talk about our multi-position air handler. We can run line sets up to 230 feet, right? Am I going to get the same performance at 50 feet that I'm going to get at 230? No, that's the true answer. We lose and start to shed all these BTUs the longer we run the tubing, right? And if we're not using, maybe it's 1/2 inch seems to be the minimum on insulation. I know New York City is 1 inch at this point, right? We can't run anything less than 1. I like that, right? A lot less BTUs that we're shedding. So it becomes an energy thing. If you're having comfort complaints on a job and you sized it right, well, maybe we didn't look at those multipliers. Maybe we ran an extended line set, right? And we're losing a BTUs, and that's why you're having a comfort problem. So these are things, again, just to look at, understand where to get them, right? We're going to kind of go back to this a couple times, I think, but
Question came in about the 912 combo on a 14-degree day.
Okay.
Total capacity.
Yep.
It's 15,700.
Correct.
That's what it's stating, yes. You have to remember, your indoor units is not the BTUs maker. The outdoor heat exchanger is.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're limited to that outdoor unit.
Correct.
The sizing and selection. If it's 24,000 BTUs, that's what you get. We're allowing you larger connectability capacity.
Exactly.
But then you're limited to how your installed lengths, distance, and insulation, all the things Rick was just stating. And then you can go to the individual units and you'll see what their performances are. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. So your loads are tight. I'm near my set point. The other unit turns on. It's maybe a wider delta. I'm going to shift the refrigerant, load shift, and send it over there. So it's constantly monitoring, opening and closing EEVs, but the outdoor unit is 24,000. That's all it will always be.
Yeah, and I think that's to, I don't know who it was, but to the point of a 9 and a 12, right? 9 and a 12, if I picked an 18, right, we got 21,000 connected, right? And to your point, Andrew, right, we got an 18,000 BTU unit, and that's why you're seeing 15.7, right? Doesn't matter, it's an 18, we got 21 hooked up. You can't get any more than what that outdoor is going to give you,
Exactly.
You can connect to it, correct. But then you can see on the 9 single by itself on that same, let's see if I can do that again without, there we go. So top one here, the 10.2 is going to be on a 5-degree day, 70 input. We're getting just about 12,000 BTUs out of that 9. Right now, if my 12 kicks into the system and I need 8,000 BTUs on that zone, well, yeah, I'm not going to give you that 12,000. That's where there's some more detailed charts there that show, okay, unit 1, unit 2, both running at this temperature. This is what you're going to get out of that head. Right? So those capacities are definitely going to change, on a multi-zone setup.
Just remember, we're not a light switch, 0 off, on at 100.
Right.
It's not what we do.
Yeah.
Inverter, DC, playing with everything. Modulating, metering devices. So we shift. We only deliver what's needed to keep going. We might be moving slow,
Right.
but you're a point or 2 off the set point, off the remote. The other one might be 5 or 6. So now I'm going to shift and move more refrigerant that way. Speed that up. Move more refrigerant EEV wise.
That's the nice thing is I don't think I've ever seen a system that's every zone is under full load, and that's what's nice about being able to hook up this 130, 125%, connected capacity,
So question, do you size the heat or AC if house needs 18,000 cooling
That's a great question. I love that.
and 25 for heat?
Yeah, so that becomes, again, it's your application.
Thank you, Ray.
Was that Ray?
Yeah.
Great question, Ray. We do a training, separate from here. What we do in our distributor level is something new called the cold climate heat pump class, and these trainings, we have a lot of them at this point now of what we offer, but that's a great class to understand something like that. And that's a great conversation is what we talk about is, are we sizing off of primary heat? Are we sizing off of cooling? There's no wrong answer. It's really your customer's needs and expectations. And, maybe you could pick a piece of equipment to tailor one over the other. We talk about the heating side. You know, and I have this conversation a lot with the oil guys and the plumbers. You know, if you guys are doing boilers and maybe you put something in recently, yeah, maybe you, and I think in our region, and we're only going to speak for New York, New Jersey, our territory, but you know, you look at our load calcs, and we could have a 40,000 whole house load on for the heating side, and then have a 18,000 BTU cooling load. You know, so you have these two extremes, and if you're going to size the heating load, then obviously, yeah, we're probably going to be a little oversized equipment-wise by numbers, you know, on the cooling side. So now maybe I just worry about the cooling side. I sell them something a little bit less expensive, you know, maybe something they can afford and just do the cooling. And then the heating side, if you start to understand these charts, you know, and this being a heating one here, which would be a perfect example, you know, instead of worrying about the 14-degree days and the 5-degree days and being able to cover these days on, you know, maybe a couple hours at night, right? If I go and sell them maybe a smaller system, in this case, we don't go any smaller than 18, so I'm not really picking a good example here, but let's call this, we would go with a 36. Well, maybe if I know, you know, down to 32 degrees, I can cover, you know, 90% of the load, you know, over the winter time. Instead of selling that 36 that's going to cover the entire year, I sell them an 18 or a 24, and I cover now most of the winter. And then I have the ability to hand off the rest of it when I need it to maybe that boiler. If you're a boiler guy, you know, whether it be gas, oil, you know, we have a lot of different capabilities now with the Fujitsu system, being able to kind of intermingle, you know, with other systems and hand off, you know, with one remote control even, you know, which is really nice. So, you know, I would say, you know, even Ray and everybody else that kind of had that same question, you know, check out one of our trainings, whether it be the cold climate heat pump, or Anthony and I, we do, and the rest of our group, we do the cold climate, we do the Fujitsu Next Tech classes, where we do cover a lot of this in the installation portions of the classes, you know, understanding how to utilize these charts and pick the right one, or pick, you know, I don't think there's a wrong answer. You know, I think it really depends on what your homeowner wants.
So two things with Ray. One,
yeah,
I've never seen cooling heating loads that close.
Right.
And they kind of spread out a little bit. So now if you're trying to cover for the heating load and your cooling load is much less, you're grossly oversizing, and that's a problem in the summertime when you want it. Again, short cycling, more often on, things go wrong. So there's a balance point where Rick is saying. Sometimes we pull back on covering everything for heating, we get closer to our cooling load, and that's our objective, right? Year-round comfort. But all of a sudden, what do we do in those really extreme cold nights? We handshake it off, maybe. We play nice with someone else. There's another question that came in, John. It's like, why or how does indoor temperature have a bearing on the BTU output? You know, I assume they're really only based on outdoor temperature. In our inverter, computer driving refrigerant cycles based off of loads. Load is outside, load is inside, and our set point, the comfort level of the occupant, right, off our remotes.
Right.
And all that is in the equation in which and how to run DC equipment. Using less energy is the goal, but providing that comfort. So it's all factors, microsecond decisions of how to drive closer to that load and not overshoot it, not exhaust energy, and constantly maintaining, monitoring, make a decision, drive compressor, fans, EVs, and such.
Right.
So everything comes into play.
Yeah, it's all heat transfer. You know?
That's correct.
That's what it is, and that's what you're seeing in the chart. And it's a good point, because you can see it right here. You know, when you look at it, even the individual. Let's see if I can. Here we go. So you're talking about indoor temps, right, and how they can drive. Right? So depending on, here's our indoor temperatures. Obviously, if I have cooler temperatures and more BTUs, the system's going to recognize a 60-degree indoor temp as a high load. So it's going to ramp up into these extra tiers, we call them, you know, as far as the compressor. And to what Anthony's saying, the inverter side, right? We ramp up now because we need a lot of BTUs to cool the space on a 60-degree day, or 60-degree, you know, incoming temperature into the heat exchanger. Whereas if I had 78, right? So these are more air temps than they are set points, right? So if I had obviously 78 degrees coming into the coil, right? I'm only going to give you 9.7 because the machine's not going to ramp up and give you any more than that because it recognizes that it's warm in there, right? So you get your set points, and I think that goes to, we can get into that all day long. I'll save that for our next tech training or something. But getting into how we can kind of manipulate these thermistors as well, which is really nice with some function codes. So.
Well said, John. And he basically answers, certainly gives what his needs off indoor temperature.
Exactly, indoor and outdoor.
And set point.
Yep. So there's a lot of variables that are playing a part, and this is why we're so, we see some of the efficiencies that we're talking about, when we get into COPs and all that stuff. So after we do, we figured out the load, we know what we need for the space, we kind of picked some units maybe, we know we want a 9 and a 12, we'll use that same example to keep moving here. We have our next tool, resource for you guys, is something called the Inverter Comfort Pro. And this is, it's an app, but it's also web-based. So you guys can go to the website, you can get to it a couple different ways, and I'll show you how to get there in a few minutes. But the Inverter Comfort Pro looks something like this on the screen. You got a couple tabs, so very easy to navigate. On the bottom there, you got a projects, which is where it starts off on, where you're able to, we're gonna build something real quick in a second. The products tab at the bottom there, that's basically your digital catalog. This gives you the ability to get all the information you need right on the app itself. You plug in the model number at the top of the screen there. Again, whether it be on the app or the web. Plug in a model number, it's going to give you, everything from your breaker size, line sets, how much refrigerant per foot, if you had to go over the pre-charge, all the information you find in the catalog is going to be buried right in there. Then you got a settings tab here, where you can tailor everything to you, and then our resources. So we click into resources, and we got a lot of information there, from brochures. You can register products from here. You can check warranties from the app now. There's a VR we were playing with before we jumped on today. The VR is a sales tool. It's more for homeowner driven. It gives you the ability, it works like if you got kids at home, like if you're familiar with Snapchat, they got filters where you can do all these weird things. Well, this is the same thing. You got a filter on your phone where you can now lock it on a wall, put a Fujitsu unit, lock it in place, and now you kind of move your phone around, and the homeowner can see what that's going to look like potentially, if they went with a wall mount unit. So some good tools in there. Take a look at it. But to build a system, and again, we'll use that same example. What I'm going to do, and before I even get that far, up at the top corner here, you're going to see a little plus symbol. So if you have nothing, you never used this before, you're going to see exactly what you see on the screen. You're going to hit the plus, and it's going to bring up a window that looks like this. And this is the Create New Project tab. If you notice at the top there, the only thing you really have to put in to move forward is the project name. So I use the word test a lot. I go on job sites and try to build programs or get phone calls. Hey, can you help me? So I'm up constantly using test a lot. It's just the one that I can manipulate anytime I want. But you can start to save these as, jobs that you're building. Anthony and I talk about in our trainings all the time is downloading this as a company-wide app, right? Where you have one set of credentials that you give out to all your guys, and everybody has access to this. What I did here, just as an example, I put in a project name as a Smith residence, but I threw some notes down here, and every time you log in, you have the ability to edit these notes, and everything from, I put down some names, right? So John, maybe the salesman. We got any Johns on today? Probably a half dozen. But anybody, right? So the salesperson comes in and he can leave some notes as to where maybe the equipment's going, some of the things he discussed with the homeowner, right? So all of that stuff he can throw in there, and then down to the installer. So I'm going to hit the install side real quick. You come in here, you check the notes, maybe you had to add some refrigerant, you have your line set totals, right? Maybe the breaker location, I don't know, you have all of this information or whatever you want to plug in, and it stays there, right? So now the service guys come down the road maybe 2 years later and they have a leak, they can go back, see the Smith residence and look, oh, there's some notes. I got to add 6.5 ounces of refrigerant, and that's based on 115 feet of line set. So now I have a starting point. I don't have to sit there and waste time measuring line sets and calculating all of this. If I left a note, great. You can write it down on the unit, but over the years, that stuff usually fades away. This is here, it's digital. So from here, you can put in some more details. At the bottom of the page, you're going to click on Create Project. And from here, you have 3 options, right? At the top of the page, we can pick a single zone system. We can pick a multi-zone system. Or if you're familiar with our J series, you can get into the J series builder as well. And this is our, heavy residential, light commercial applications is what our J series product will cover. If you're not a J series person and you don't see yourself touching the product, you can remove it off the app, and now you just have single zone, multi-zone. So make it a little bit more cleaner for you. But now, as you can see on the screen, I select 2 zones. I picked the zone 1. I labeled that as a 9 because we did our load calc and went into the capacity tables and figured that out. It's a wall mount, and now as a salesperson, I can estimate the line set lengths too. From where I'm going to place this outdoor unit to where the indoor head is, I can start throwing some numbers in there. Label what zone it is, and at the bottom here, right underneath the 2 zones, you're going to see select outdoor unit. So this is your compatibility charts, right? This is going to tell you, this is picking an outdoor unit based on the combination you want. So now again, this can go, I can go back to the service side here, or I can go back to the install side. You want to double check your material and make sure you got the right equipment before you start wasting your time installing it and finding out later on that you gotta, we get this 22 compatibility error once in a while. Maybe the indoor units don't match up. So I plug in those 2 units, I hit select outdoor unit, and here it's going to tell me, all right, number 1, it gives me model numbers. So now I'm specific to what I got to, order, ASU H9 LPAS and a 12 LPAS, and the outdoor unit it selected was an 18. Now, this is not the only unit that I can have a 9 and a 12 on, right? But if I scroll down, this is an actual list. It's going to give me the 18. It's going to give, as a standard, it's going to give me the H model, the -15 unit. The 9 and the 12 is even a compatible unit on a 24 multi-zone system. So now I have options, right? So now I can go back to the homeowner and say, all right, do you want to do this as a, standalone system? Do you want to have a 24 maybe and have an extra port for future use, right? Maybe that's an option, right? So now if I know the 18 to the 24 work, I can quote both of them for the homeowner. What's really nice at the bottom of the page, if you notice, right, it tells us what we have hooked up. So there's the 116% connected, but underneath that, it's a line set checker, right? It says line set lengths within range, and to the right there, you get a nice green checkbox that says yes, right? Little thing telling you that the numbers that you picked, and again, that was something we kind of played with. Oh, go back there. This is something we played with, and we put in 60 feet for one, 55 for another. There's that 115 foot I put in the notes, right? But I know now that 115 feet of pipe, I'm good to go, right? So I'm good individually as an indoor unit to outdoor, and I'm good as a system. Now, if I put a number in that was not within range, obviously you're going to get a no, but you're also going to get it, it's going to tell you why it's not. It's going to tell you maybe that the zone 2, the 12 LPAS, you selected 90 feet. It's going to say that the minimum is 16, the maximum is 82. So not only does it tell you, no, you can't do that. So as a salesperson, you cannot put that indoor unit or outdoor unit where you want to put it, right? Or if the homeowner is choosing where they want to put it, now you can show them, hey, I can't do that. My line set lengths are not within where I need to be. I have to move this unit 5 feet over. Can we do that, right? So again, this is a checker. As an installer, again, it's an inventory thing. Do I have the right equipment? I can go in there and I can build this relatively quick. I can pick the indoor units that were delivered to me. I can hit select outdoor unit, and now I better have that outdoor unit that was delivered better be that unit, right? Or at least be on the list. So that's one way to use it. Service guys, you guys can use this. Again, line set checker. I use it for that all the time, right? What are our minimums? What are our maximums? Let's measure things out. Let's plug it in here. This is a visual. We can do the math. Confidence in everybody in this chat today or in this webinar that we can do the math and figure out how many feet of line set. But when you tell a homeowner versus show a homeowner, the app really helps. You can show them that, hey, You're having compressor issues maybe. Well, why is that? Well, my line sets are only 7 feet and they're supposed to be 16. Well, here you go. I didn't do the job, but look, my Fujitsu app's telling me that I have to be within these numbers. This is why you're having problems. I'm going to replace that compressor under warranty, but I'm also going to extend your line set so you don't have this problem again. Again, one app, whether you want it to be individual and everybody has their own, or you want to use this as a company app and have one set of credentials, it's totally up to you. But this is a huge tool for us.
Well, other than hiring Wales Darby in the 12 years, this is probably the best thing Fujitsu has released in the last 8 years. This is the most powerful digital catalog combination of deep information you'd have to go to another manual to find. You're talking about product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or just the design. And then you go to the actual product, and then there's a whole other slew of information.
Yeah.
Just for that model you picked. Easy grab and go.
That's it. Yeah, it's
people are asking, where do they get this? We have the handout.
Give us 5 to 10 minutes and you'll find out. So we got a bunch of different avenues for you to find this.
Hold on, Jay.
Yeah, we're getting that. We're getting that. Everything we talk about moving forward and what I've already talked about and we've all talked about is all going to wrap up on two nice pages for you. So we get it there. So now once we have that equipment, we select it, rebates are a big conversation right now. We talk about heat pumps and what we do, and we got a nice class tomorrow. I'm doing just heat pump solutions, and whether it's Fujitsu or any other product, heat pumps are here to stay. It doesn't matter. What you're thinking, heat pumps are great for us. We have a lot of fun with them. We have a couple different manufacturers, whether it's air to air or air to water. The technology is pretty wild. But when it comes to the rebates, Fujitsu's done a lot of the homework for you. There's a lot of different avenues for you guys to find out about rebates. There's also, you got to remember, this is a homeowner directed website. So they're giving them a lot of information. The homeowner might be reaching out to you because they were on here and they found that they have a rebate available, right? So make sure if you're not participating with the local utilities that, you are up to good standards with them and you're able to offer these rebates, because the last thing you want is a homeowner to go with you and then go to do a rebate and can't get it through because you weren't a qualified contractor, right? So that's easy stuff. But here you can see I picked the first unit, and this is based on an area code. So at the top here, you can plug in an area code for us. This is a default St. James, New York, local to us here. So I can just plug in that and it's going to give me a list of all the systems that are available, or I can come over here and I can actually search for a product and see if it does have a rebate on it. In this case, the example here was a J series condenser. This is a 5-ton condenser, and I can have up from 1 to 15 indoor units hooked up. So again, we're still talking residential here. I could have this 5-ton unit with 2 multi-position air handlers in the space, right? So if I did that in PSE&G territory, you can see that there's a rebate available for $3,790. That comes out to $1,000 per ton, and that's the performance we're getting at 17 degrees, right? If I'm part of the PSE&G, home comfort program, or I'm a contractor, this is something I can offer my homeowner, right? It's a nice little chunk of change off of that install. It goes a little bit further, right? Because it's not just a rebate anymore. There's federal tax credits now too. So Fujitsu has this as a link right on the website where you can go in here, click on mini split systems, federal tax credit. You click on that PDF and there's going to be a list of qualifying models, where homeowners can apply for the federal tax credit. So again, more money off the job, potentially. A third step here, giving away money, Inflation Reduction Act. This is something that's popped up over recent months, right? Going back to August when they brought this in. So they made a ton of money available, $369 billion to be exact, where depending on your homeowner, they might have an opportunity here to get some more money back. If you're doing residential, it's up to potentially 30% of the total product and labor installation costs, really. So again, these are all things that if you're not aware of and your homeowner's not aware of, we might be losing some jobs out there. There's some other guys that are very, very much aware of all of this stuff. They're really on board with it. They've looked into it. They know how to work with it. And you know, they're killing jobs right now. You know, they're almost giving this stuff away for free at this point, you know, when you start putting all of these things together. So just keep in mind, you go to a website, fujitsugeneral.com, you'll find all of this information right there.
How do you become a qualified contractor for these rebates?
That's a great question. So PSE&G, I know you go on their website, you go to the rebate section, and there's a whole section on just becoming a qualified contractor. You're filling out some information. They want you to, you know, maybe download or upload some business information.
It'd be fair to say local utility.
100%. Yeah, local utility. There's some other programs, you know, again, some of them are NYSERDA driven. If you're in New York State, Con Ed has a program right now where they're requiring people now to not just sign up, but you have to have a manufacturer's training under your belt as well. More specifically, it's going to be that cold climate heat pump training. It's a design and application. So they want you to have some kind of design and application knowledge through a manufacturer in order to participate in the program and give these rebates out. So I like that. I like when they point everybody in our direction. So we appreciate that. Thank you, Con Ed. Could be a pain in the neck for some people, but it's good. We got to get to class and learn how to really size these things and put them in right, not misapply them. So
Ballast point.
right. So look, there's your rebates, tax credits, and all that fun stuff. Another tool we have that I don't think we utilize enough. This program's been in place for a couple years now. This is the Infinite Assurance Program. So here you guys have the opportunity to basically purchase a insurance program or a labor protection plan is really what it is. How you guys want to spin this and how you guys want to utilize this in your business is totally up to you. You know, I've seen some guys do some good things with this where they don't even notify the homeowner that they have it, right? It's more of a protection for them. You know, if you're an elite contractor and you're getting a 12-year warranty on parts and compressor, you know, anything happens within those 12 years, whether it be something on an indoor unit, it's board replacement, maybe they have some electrical problems. You know, some guys eat labor. You know, they know the parts are there. The homeowners know labor is not covered. Well, here maybe you can give them a discounted labor rate because they are a good customer. But now on the back end, you guys are, you know, basically, I guess you can say you're not double dipping, that's not the word I want to use, but you're basically protecting yourself and your labor here with this plan. You know, you guys can now, based on hours, and that's what these sheets are here in front of you, that are just there as a reference. I don't expect anybody to read them and see the details, but based on the hours of maybe a repair, you guys are going to get $125 an hour, let's call it, you know, per hour on that repair. You're also going to get a diagnostic. You might be able to recoup. That's really what the word I was looking for was recoup some of your labor off it. So, you know, again, you know, you can spin it however you want. You know, you want to go in and offer this to a homeowner. Hey, Fujitsu is going to give you 12 years parts and compressor. I'm going to give you 12 years on labor. You're not going to pay a dime for the next 12 years, right? I can add maybe another $500, $700, $1,000 to the job, whatever you choose, depending on the plan. You make money on the plan and you get your labor throughout the years. So again, I'm not here to tell you how to utilize this program, just make you aware that it is a tool. Again, we're always trying to set ourselves apart from each other. There's a lot of, especially New York City and New Jersey, there's a lot of saturation. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of contractors here. This is a tool, you know, this is really what it is. It's a resource for you guys. The Infinite Assurance Program, again, been around for a couple of years now. So if you're not sure where to find that, I will give you that direction in a few seconds.
As far as technology, it can run you ragged.
Yeah.
If you don't fully understand what goes in the machines, you can waste a lot of time.
Oh, absolutely.
And people kind of look at the equipment as being the root cause of the problem. It could be an application, it could be environment,
Absolutely.
lack of maintenance, and then there's hours to try this, try that.
Yeah.
Part changers.
Right.
So I've settled some arguments just as what you're saying.
Yeah.
Say, are you aware of this program?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everyone just calmed down in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know about this.
Get that a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's, some of it's pretty, you know, I went through this and kind of put some plans together, and I think we did this in one of the other trainings. We really broke down, you know, a repair, let's call it, you know. So if I got to go, let's call it a coil replacement, you know, there's some back work there too, right? There's the initial call, so that's your diagnostic, right? So there's 125 bucks just for showing up. You found there was a leak. Doesn't take long most of the time. You know, you get some applications where it's a pain in the neck, but you find a leak, now you go back, you replace the coil. They might have the coil replacement as 4 hours, right, as a replacement. So you got a diagnostic, you got 4 hours of repair, you got some refrigerant involved, you know, all of these things add up. And now you, instead of walking away, you know, or maybe I do charge a homeowner 400 bucks to do it, but now I go and I recoup another $400, $500, $600 from this program, you know, it pays for itself. You know, you're paying for the program on one hand, and then you're putting some more dollars in your pocket, so you're not losing money. And again, you're able to do things maybe a little bit cheaper than your competitors, you know, without losing money, which is the big part. So we can talk about this. If you have any questions on it, reach out to either one of us or our counterparts, John, Jim, and Rob in the New Jersey side. We'll be able to help you out there. So this is something, I don't have a ton of information on this. You know, I just wanted to get a visual on here because this is something brand new to our resource bucket, I guess you could call it, on the sales side. And this is a partnership Fujitsu just started with Sales Builder Pro. Some of you guys might be familiar with this. There were a couple other manufacturers that were utilizing this. Really one major one in our territory. It's now available to us. Fujitsu has this great deal with them. But this is, if you're not familiar with what Sales Builder Pro is, you guys might be utilizing something with a program like a Service Titan or, you know, a Field, I think it's Home Edge or Field Edge or something. There's a bunch of different, you know, programs out there for you guys, you know, as far as, you know, keeping organized and having your sales team together. That's what the Sales Builder Pro is. It works hand in hand with a lot of those other third-party companies. But this gives you your own individual, basically, dashboard for your company and the offering you're giving it with Fujitsu. So you're able to not just have, you know, stuff like brochures, you know, maybe some install pictures, some information about your company, your service and maintenance plans. But once we build a system and go to quote it, you know, you have the ability now to build everything that you're doing right here. So you go to a residential, you'll have your distributor pricing, whoever you're purchasing Fujitsu from, will be built into this already. You'll work with them on that. And now when your salesperson's right in front of the homeowner, he can build the system and even give them all their financing options, whether they're paying, you know, upfront, they're financing it, they're, you know, whatever the case is, you know, you could build that into this where they single touch, we could get somebody qualified and locked into a installation without having to leave the home, right? We go and walk away, and I hear this all the time where guys have come into a house, give a quote, and nobody hears back from it, right? People get busy, you know, you forget about it, you know, we lost the job. Well, here you have more opportunities to seal those jobs on site instead of having to walk away and quote things. So it's a cool program. We got more details to come. If it's something you're interested in, definitely reach out to us. We can push you in the right hands. But I thought this was a cool program. What's really nice too is, you know, again, Fujitsu's not forcing you to use everything that is all Fujitsu, right? We do have financing available, commercial, residential. If you are currently using some other financing program that you feel more comfortable with that works for you and your business, you can integrate it into this, right? It is friendly with that. It's not just Fujitsu. So a lot of good stuff here, a lot of questions on this too that have been coming through. So we're learning as we go. All right, quick little review on what we covered so far, right? Everything we started with the website, some leads, how do we get on the schedule engine program, the rebate finder, the other tools, the IRA, not an investment, but an Inflation Reduction Act is what that is, federal tax credits, all that fun stuff, right? We talked about the manual J, we gotta do it. We gotta do it. It's by others, whoever you're utilizing. Did we get any responses with that? You know, what everybody's favorite manual J program was? Got a couple pop up?
No.
Good. Keep it rolling. We talked about the Connect website, right? We're going to talk about that a few more times. Connect.fujitsugeneral.com. We can get the load calculator from there. Right? We get our manuals, which lead us to capacity tables, the programs. So at the bottom of the page here is really that bottom edge of the Infinite Comfort, or I'm sorry, the Connect.fujitsugeneral.com website. right? So these are all, when you're on that website, all of these down here, these are all links that you would click on. So the financing I just talked about, if that's something you're interested in, take a look at it right there. The infinite insurance plans, how do I get involved with it? Click on the link, follow the instructions. You want to be an elite contractor? Great, we'd love to have you on board. Anthony's breaking
My bad.
stuff. The elite contractor program, right? You want to know what you got to do to become elite and what benefits that you're going to get from that. That's a great program, right? We get some special stuff there. You get maybe some access to free training over in New Jersey. Get some dollars, again, marketing dollars, stuff like that. A lot of special stuff, upgraded warranty from 10 to 10, from 10 to 10 to 12 and 12. And then we got our tools and resources in the middle here. Somebody asked about how do I get the Infinite Comfort Pro app, right? Well, click on that link there, and that's going to get you right to the download. Online rebate finder, brochures. We can go on and on and on here, right? Warranty and registration. We got to look up a warranty, or we got to register a piece of equipment. Here, I can do it from here as well. And then once we get into the technical side, which we're going to see in a moment here, the Infinite Support, which is our help center. So a lot of resources here. We took the Infinite Comfort Pro again, Sales Builder, all kinds of fun stuff. So we're going to kind of overlap a little bit. I talked about the install side a couple of times, referenced that, so I'm not going to, kill it here. But, for you guys as installers, I mean, probably the biggest tool and resource for you guys, I mean, you guys have it in your hand from right at the get-go of the install, right? And that's going to be your install manual, your operation manual, whether it be for the equipment, the remote control, the accessories that you got there on the job, the Wi-Fi, whatever the case may be. You guys have a huge resource right in front of you. And a lot of times, I got a phone call just yesterday, and I didn't look at the attendance list. I'm not trying to rag on anybody, but we got some great installers, and we spend a lot of time with these guys, with you guys, as training, and somebody that I work with a lot. I spend a lot of time with a company, a lot of companies, but one in general, and I got a phone call from them yesterday about being on a site, and I got job sites, we're building presentations, we got trainings, right? We're all busy. I wasn't able to get to the phone call late in the evening. I ended up calling the guy back at 6 o'clock to find out that he's installing something, and the accessory they're adding, they didn't read the instructions. And unfortunately, that may have caused them to burn up some boards. So very easy. They had the instructions in front of them. They're waiting for a response on a phone call. We could have just picked up the piece of paper from the get-go, spent 2 minutes, and I get that back. Pushback a lot is we don't have time. We don't have time. Yeah, you do. You had time to pick up the phone. You had time to wait for my call. You had time to, have a conversation. You certainly had time to pick up the piece of paper you threw to the side, spend 2 minutes reading it, and you would have been golden, right? So we do have time to do this. But there's details in that and those instructions that we need to get to. So if we're not familiar, I'm going to run down real quick. Again, don't have to log in right from the Connect.Fujitsu General website. Plug in a model number of what you may be working on or about to install. In this case, I put in a multi-position. That was actually the equipment that they called me on yesterday. And you can see, besides the design and technical we talked about on the sales side, design and technical is all that. It's technical information. So a lot of what you're asking or what you're maybe looking for could be in this manual. It's just doing a little looking, right? Searching. Install instructions, install manual. Those are two different manuals, right? So if I'm doing something that might be for an accessory, that might be for a certain configuration, click on those little links and you're going to get them. Getting them, you have them in your hand to begin with, right? There's a ton of information in there. So hopefully that helps on the install. Biggest resource you need is that install manual. So don't throw it out, don't kneel on it, take a look at it. How many pages we talk about it on an install manual? 7 to 9 maybe.
In English?
Yeah, in English, 7 to 9.
8 of it?
3 pages of it are straight pictures.
4 is IKEA.
Mm-hmm.
You speak IKEA, right? Or you read IKEA?
So we like pictures.
All right.
So, visuals.
So a couple good you got. Jay tells us about, he uses CoolCalc.
Cool
Thank you,
count?
Jay.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. I like that one.
I'm not too sure if we're going to do this today, but he's asking discuss the J series versus H series. for residential. So H series is residential, halcyon,
Yes.
45,000 and down, outdoor units.
Correct.
J series goes up to, 48, right,
Yep. Multi-position, stuff like that, single zones.
correct.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, J series is, again, if you're dealing with large residential homes or different applications, and there's some good reasons to select maybe J series. There's also things we got to look at. I mean, the main differences between J and H, we'll just cover it quick, is, the H series, we power everything from our outdoor unit as far as indoor units go, right? H series. Our expansion valves are in the outdoor unit. When we switch over to the J series, we do things a little differently. There's some increased cost there because now we're powering our indoor units heads separately, on a separate breaker than our outdoor unit. We tie in all of our indoor and outdoor units by a LonWorks cable. It's a communication cable that we daisy chain. So a little bit more on the labor side, maybe not feasible on every, residential application. That's why we see it a lot more commercially. But yeah, and our expansion valves are all in our indoor units, right? So, a little bit of a change there. Again, it's a different animal. It's if you're doing H series and you've been doing it for a long time, it's not something you couldn't handle. We do a lot more of that. We see a lot more applications. Again, we're trying to save space outside, so that's kind of my go-to when I get these multiple, let's call them 2 air handlers in one space. Well, instead of putting in 2 single zone systems, I can put a J series, like I said before in a rebate binder, that there was a 5-ton outdoor unit that I can put multiple indoor units on. So if I can do 2 air handlers there and split it up to other systems, right? The J series might be a good thing for you.
is there anything about the J series commissioning, warranties,
Yeah.
different?
Right, so there's some commissioning there, maybe, if we want extended warranties,
It's not cut and dry.
commission, yeah. J series, we don't require it so much. I mean, we want to do it. It's not unlike our B series where you have to have a commissioning. J series is a little different. So I recommend it highly. So there's maybe a service tool and an additional part we might have to buy to be able to communicate with the system, have a laptop. So yeah, there's definitely some more stuff involved with the J series. We actually have, if you go on our YouTube channel, I think Mr. Ressa did a walkthrough with actually one of our counterparts at Fujitsu on a J series, kind of explaining how it works, what's the main differences, stuff like that. So definitely take a look at that video if you're not familiar with J series, and reach out to your distributor. This is where we do most of our training these days. They have classes that may even be lined up already, so get a little taste of it.
Just really quick, Jacob, you're asking about apps available for Fujitsu General options or only web-based. I'm not 100% sure what you're referring to. If you want to clarify.
Yeah, if you want to clarify. I mean, as far as, like I said, web-based, the only one that's really web-based and app is going to be your Comfort Pro, and I'll show you how to access that. We have that coming up in about 2 seconds, so we get him right there. Yeah, if he pops up, just look at him. So once you're on this page, this is our help center, right? So this is everything you need on the service end of the world. If you're looking for troubleshooting support, and you're trying to figure out where my readings need to be and how I got to use my multimeter and all of that stuff, the help center is definitely your friend. I don't know if any of you guys, how many joining us today, but how many of you guys like sitting on hold, waiting for somebody to pick up the phone? I don't like relying on people. I like finding my information, doing what I got to do, and moving on, right? That's what this website's about. So from here, once we get on there and we scroll down a little bit, you're going to see we got some tiles here. Air zone, extended warranty, like you just said, talking about commissioning data and stuff like that. May not just be J series, it may be V series as well, but you can find that information in these 2 tabs. General help, you need information on remote controls and accessories. Here's my service tool design simulator. So if you are putting together, these jobs, you have a design simulator you can work with. We have some unitary product down here, some Westinghouse products. If you're not sure what that is, take a look. You'll be pretty impressed. If you got questions, give us a call. And here's our V and J series, and highlighted in our teal is our H series. So anything residentially, we're going to click on that H series button right there. And as you start to scroll, this is what you're going to see. And I kind of cut this off and just picked a little section here. But above this, you're going to see some manuals, whether they be retired or current. You're going to see the videos. So we got some nice videos there on if you've never changed boards before, you're not familiar, you want to get comfortable with it before you actually get out there and start ripping that thing apart on the side of a house in front of a homeowner. Watch a video, make you a little bit more comfortable. But here on the right is really what I look for, and that's our troubleshooting by error code, right? So if I know my error code, I can just click on that link, and it's going to give me my step-by-step guide. This is literally what you guys are waiting for when you call tech support. You know, so you can get a jump on this, figure out what I need to do, get my readings, take a picture before you even get on the horn with Fujitsu. You know, the only reason you really need is we like to collect data just for history. You know, or maybe you do have a warranty and when you want to confirm some of your readings, you know, your first step may not want to be to tech support. You know, what I would be doing is reaching out to my distributor TSA. If I don't know who that is, and I don't know if my distributor has one, ask. You know, next time you're at the counter, you know, whoever you're buying your Fujitsu through, they do have somebody, you know, that has similar powers to maybe myself and Anthony and John, Jim, and Rob, you know, where we can help you put, or they can help you put together a ticket number. You know, you're going to go back to them to get the part, right? So you might as well start with them. I'll let them help you maybe with some tech support and get you the ticket number you may need to process that warranty that they need. But here's that list. You know, if you scroll down a little bit more, you're going to have service tips down there on the left, service bulletins. If you go down even further, you're going to find disassembly instructions. So if you've never pulled apart a head or maybe a slim duct system, you'll have the ability to, you know, see a PDF file that has a step-by-step guide on it. What screws, what plugs, what do I got to get, you know, what do I got to move to get to what I got to get to? So this is definitely a huge resource for you guys. If you're not familiar with it, definitely take a peek at it. Between this and the next thing we're going to talk about, you know, is the app. This is a web-based program here. Nothing more than a web page, which you could save. You know, I know Anthony, you talk about this a lot in your classes. You know, having a folder on your phone, you know, with all of the Fujitsu stuff or all your resources. You know, whether you want to do this by manufacturer, you guys work on a lot of different equipment. So I get it. You know, trying to figure out who does what and who has what resources. You know, build a folder on your phone. You know, you can save the link to this website right in that folder and have it as a little, you know, icon. So,
or even a PDF.
Yeah, or a PDF.
Because sometimes internet
right
isn't always friendly.
Yep. Yeah, self-service. You know, that might be a problem. Save it first. And that's where we're going to get into the app, you know, and this is, you know, something we use a ton. You know, when you guys call and I'm driving down the expressway, probably police department doesn't want to hear this, but you know, when you guys call up and you got an error code, and you know, and you got some flashing lights at you, and you're not sure what it is, you know, first thing I go to is this. You know, same resource you have, you know, is the mobile technician app. If you don't, if you're on a computer and you have your phone next to you and you don't have it, scan one of those QR codes, Android to the right, Apple on the left. You'll be able to download it. It's a one-time registration. You're going to fill out some info. They're going to send you a password. You log in once. You're good to go until you get a new phone or it stops doing something. You know, you got to redo it. But a lot of information here, you know. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to select, and the example I have up here is something I pulled from another class I was doing. This is the wireless LAN adapter. So this is our Wi-Fi device. We got our commercial VRF. This is going to be our J and V series. And then we got our H series, our residential air conditioning. Now this is a global app. This is why you're not seeing some of this terminology we're talking about. But being a global app, we got to be very specific to the model number we're working on. You know, if there's a model, there's an indoor unit, and there's a 1 at the end, and you forgot to put the 1, you might be looking at some bad info. So we got to be specific to the model, put the full number in there. Once we generate the number, it's going to give us something that looks like this. Again, this is a Wi-Fi device, so I have 2 LED lights that can generate, you know, some kind of signal for me or tell me what's going on, a status. If it was an indoor unit, you would see 3 lights, right? It would have operation, timer, and economy. You're basically going to hit those up and down arrows till you get the number of flashes that those lights are giving off. It's then going to tell you what the problem is down over here. And then once we click on one of them, it's going to generate a PDF, which now I can save, I can print, I can do whatever I want. Like Anthony said, if I'm going to save that as a PDF to my phone, you know, you have the ability to do that. You can even email it to somebody else. You know, so maybe you're struggling, you can't get it to work, but one of your coworkers is able to do it. He can email it to you, and you have the information you need to troubleshoot. Right. So this is, again, this tool's been around as long as I've been servicing Fujitsu. You know, many years at this point. Do you know offhand when when they came out with the mobile technician? You know, was it available right from the start?
No.
No.
I'm going to say give it 10 years.
Okay. So let's call it 10 years. This has been been available to us. So it's a good one. You know, there are some other tabs up here. You know, that's on the troubleshooting side. If you look across the header here, it could be up top or below, depending on your platform. There's a little toolbox there. That toolbox is going to have everything from the Mister charts, where we can plug in some values there and ohm out the Misters. We can, depending on your platform, you might have a Wi-Fi analyzer, so we can see if we actually have Wi-Fi signal, if we're dealing with that type of stuff. A lot of good info on there. There's a PT chart. I use that a lot. You know, when I'm going to jobs and we're trying to confirm refrigerant charge, you know, that could help us out. We got a resources tab there now, where we're seeing a lot of the videos being uploaded, the disassembly instructions, stuff like that. So a lot of good things coming to this app, a lot of upgrades and stuff coming as well. So, you know, again, just another tool for you guys to use. All right, so as we wrap up, here's where we find everything we just talked about, right? So a lot of information, a lot of resources between apps, websites, and everything else we do have. This one sheet really is a one-stop. You know, if you're coming in here late and you missed the intros, this is in your handout section. Print this thing out, download it on your computer, print it out. We have some copies that we do distribute in our training. So if you don't have access to a printer, come to a class and you'll get a copy of this. But this really is a one-stop. You know, here's your help center. You know, just as a visual, I'm showing you the website we just talked about as a tech. You know, if you're doing tech support or any type of troubleshooting, how do I get there? Scan the first code. You know, the first one, it says Zendesk on it. You know, that's the platform, Zendesk. You scan it, it's going to bring you right to the website. The next QR code on the service side is going to be your service tips. So there's a direct link. It's going to bring you to the service tips section of our website. And you're going to have all of these. You know, we typically in training, we give out a paper version that might cover, what, 30 service tips?
April 17th, 2014.
2014. Okay. That was the original release of the mobile technician.
Just about 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Wow. You're pretty good. Pretty good with these dates. Moving forward. Service tips, right? So we give you paper version. I want to call it what? What do we give them? 30, maybe 30 different service tips in that packet in our trains. Maybe, if that. In here, you might find another additional 20 or 30 of them that are available. You know, some stuff that you're not going to see every day, right? So we talk about being able to lock a unit, right? Everything that we produce, and we've produced for a while now, has been a heat pump, right? We give you heating and cooling. We have function codes maybe to make it a heating only or a cooling only piece of equipment. You're not going to find that in an install manual. You're not going to find that even in a design and technical manual. But there is a specific service bulletin on how to do that. So that's where you're going to find that in those service tips. Next, we talked about the troubleshooting guide. Did we? No, we didn't. So troubleshooting guide could use some updating, but we're going to find a lot of information as far as, you know, line set lengths, you know, refrigerant charge, you know, minimums, maximums, all that fun stuff, as well as error codes, you know, on different systems, and basic symptoms and troubleshooting starting points is what I like to call it. So that's available to you as a PDF. The apps, again, mobile technician, scan that, you'll get access to the QRs where you can now download it. I did this one because of Fujitsu Tech Line. So this is nothing more than a vCard file. This is something that's a contact that you can save on your phone. You have access to the Fujitsu Tech Support line, as well as the email and some other information I did throw on there. And then the final code on this side of the sheet is our training request. Right? So if you have something in the field that you're not familiar with, you're looking for additional training on it, maybe you see something, you want some more info on it, you scan that, I'm going to get an alert or a notification. We'll be able to reach back out to you. If it's a training request, then we already have something in the works as far as a class at a distributor level. We'll point you in that direction. If you're looking to do something privately with your company specifically, you know, depending on our schedule, you know, we can definitely make that work. So anything you have on a training side or training information, scan that code, send it over to us, we'll get to it. Flip that sheet over and you're gonna have the Connect Resource page, right? So again, how do I get there? You scan that first code all the way to the left. That's gonna bring you to the website. Again, just a visual of what you're gonna find right on that opening page. A lot of information without logging in. You know, that's one of the nice things I do like about that is.
Kind of concerns me.
Yeah. It's funny how they're able to, as big as the web is and the amount of things you can find, you know, even trying to Google something like this, it's not something that pops up regularly, so.
The manufacturer allowing homeowners.
Yeah, I think
And
it's
that's kind of
across the
what's-
board with everything though these days, so. But again, not having to log in, you do have some access there. If you're trying to get some more information, whether it be for registering units, for, you know, parts, whatever it may be, you're looking to find some information. What I really like, if you look on the bottom edge of this page, right, we have some of these little links we didn't talk about, but clicking on that Contact Us is a big one. You click on that Contact Us, and it's going to give you every single, you know, basically contact point at Fujitsu, whether it be emails or phone numbers, you know, the tech department, you know, wherever you need. There is a link there, and the emails are even bigger. You know, if you're having an issue registering equipment or getting a certificate or whatever the case is there, you know, there is an email for that. You know, send an email, CC one of us on it so we can be aware of what's going on and then help out in any way we can. Or CC your distributor, whoever it may be, and, you know, at least we can all follow it along and make sure you get the information you're looking for. You know, once you do log in, yeah, it's new for us, this new website, right? The portal change. Anything that you're changing, obviously, you're not gonna be familiar or really fluent with it. So that's why I put in this Connect guide. That's right next to the Connect page. Scan that little guy, and it's a PDF that's gonna get you through how to navigate, how to get to your marketing dashboard, how to get to your online training, how to bring guys in or add contacts to your page. So all that information is going to be in the Connect guide. If you need help with any of it, again, you'll have our information in, I think, one slide. So stay tuned. There's your Infinite Comfort Pro, right? So scan that. It's going to give you the link where you can download it. You also got it up here. Again, if you're on a Connect page, you can just click on that Infinite Comfort Pro link, and that's going to be another access for you. We have the Fujitsu AR. So again, that's going to be that little Snapchat filter for your homeowners so you can show the actual equipment on the wall. We have the product roadmap. So the product roadmap, obviously you guys might have been, you might be seeing some changes in the model numbers going from the older units to the newer units. So this is nothing more than just a kind of transition page to kind of show you where we were and where we went. And there is a couple pieces of equipment that haven't even been released yet on there that'll, you know, kind of give you an idea where we're going. But it's a nice little piece of paper there. So if you're replacing something and you're trying to get that equipment again and then the distributor's telling you we don't have it, it's retired or something like that, well, you want to know what the replacement was for that, it's right there. So
I'm just gonna put it out there. Everyone knows how to use a QR and just how you get the information. So it's just sometimes people aren't all that comfortable.
Yeah.
Let us know.
you able to scan it?
I am.
See, even on the PowerPoint, we're able to scan that thing and get the
Right
information.
off the screen.
And the last one there is our Fujitsu catalog. So again, we don't want to use this as a sizing or selection point, but it is a reference to, you know, okay, this is the equipment I'm using. What accessories can I put in, right? What are all these different options I have? Am I going to add Wi-Fi? We got the Wi-Fi selection guide in the catalog. You know, maybe I want to go with a different remote control. What remotes can I do, right? Well, I can go right to the Connect page and go to a submittal and then see what accessories. But if I have the catalog, what's nice about that QR code for the catalog is it's a live document. So if Fujitsu updates that catalog, your print version is static, right? It's never going to change. But this here, if they make an addition, if they change something that may be an error, you have the latest and greatest every time you scan that code. So a lot of different things, right? 12 QR codes on one piece of paper, 2 websites, multiple apps, a lot of different resources there. So hopefully that helps you.
No excuse.
Yeah, no excuses. You know,
A lot of good stuff.
Accountability. That's what we're about. So hopefully that helped you guys there. You know, there's a lot of information, a lot of resources, a lot of them new, you know, a lot of new stuff popping up, some stuff, you know, that's still going to be released in the next couple of weeks. But everything that we did show you today is available as of right this second. So if you need help with any of those resources, or, you know, you're out there doing some sales training, we'll be more than happy to help. So I'll be looking on questions.
Very good. Thanks for all the interaction. Good questions. Hopefully you got something out of today. I always ask, you leave with more than you came in with.
That's it.
So practice. Now you gotta take it and utilize it.
You know, just a reminder, the handout section, right? Download those items. You have got to leave you with 2 more QR codes. Those QR codes are mine and Anthony's information. So if you write down our number, email, social media, all that fun stuff, you can scan that code and put it on your phone, save us in there, and you'll have the info. The one thing we do ask, if you are scanning and taking our info today, is send us a little text message, you know, who you are. This way, if you are calling for some support, we know who we're talking to. You know, what do you call them? What do we say? When 10 digits come across the phone, most of the time you're going to get a voicemail or a text message, right? Your name comes across, and I know who you are. There's a better chance I'm going to pick up that phone. You know, at least
First
if I'm
name,
tied up.
last name, who you work for, and where we met. You can say webinar, topic, whatever.
Yes, we appreciate that. And again, if you're on social media, definitely, you know, hit us up. Myself, Anthony. We have Wales Darby IG as well. So that's our marketing team controls that. So we'd love to interact with you guys. If you do have questions, you can always reach us there. If you want to share some of your installs, you know, you got stuff you're putting up, you know, we love seeing that, and we like to send that out too, so our manufacturers see it and, you know, get you guys some more coverage and promote what you guys are doing. So
Got a nice little compliment rather.
it's compliments.
Webinars are great.
Appreciate that.
Help as an inspector. Well, thank you very much for saying it.
Very good, very good.
We'll continue.
Yeah, we'll continue in the
Is the timing right? That's a good question. Is it something you prefer later?
yeah. Does it help you guys doing it?
Another
at
day of the
7:30?
week?
Yeah, we've been doing Wednesdays for a while now, right? We were doing a Tuesday, Thursday thing for a while, moved over to Wednesdays, kind of following that Wednesdays flow. You know, there's a lot of webinars that are out there between us and our manufacturers. You know, we have Takeo, Centrotherm, you know, NTI, Electro. You know, we have a lot of our manufacturers are doing webinars throughout the week. You know, whether they're evening, you know, webinars or, you know, during the day. You know, are you guys utilizing them? Are you guys checking out different manufacturers, or I'm curious?
People asking about certificates for today.
I don't know if this was a certificate class. This is
Doesn't
more
really
just
qualify.
a resource. Yeah, it doesn't qualify for certificates. If you're looking for stuff like that, that's going to be our distributor training that we do, where we're able to provide a certificate for you.
Are you involved with wholesalers getting in the classroom when they sponsor it? You know,
All right.
where do I get handouts? You can see them in the window. You should see the drop down. Your orange arrow should open up, and then there you'll see handouts, 2 of 5. One will be a line sheet, or the manufacturers represent, and then our QR code.
Yep.
You have our information. If you should have any issues, just let us know.
Yeah, we'll be able to send them out. Good. Everything's looking clean.
8:59.
8:59. All right. So a little bit more than
Class
45 minutes. Yeah. Appreciate your time today. We thank you guys for joining us again for this kind of winter session that we've had. This will be our last one for now. We're going to take a little break, reconvene, put some more topics out there. If there's something you guys want to see, you know, maybe that we haven't touched yet, as long as it's something we do cover with one of our manufacturers, or a topic that we do, you know, a solution that we provide, we'd be happy to put a class together for it. I believe there is a little survey once you guys get off of the webinar, so, you know, fill that out. You know, tell us what you thought, you know, what you're thinking. You know, again, Anthony asked, you know, is this time work for you guys and your company? You know, we'd love to hear your feedback. We're always looking to adapt, you know, to what you guys are looking for. So that's why we're here. So I appreciate you guys, you know, joining us today for this hour and a half. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Be well.